a new edition of the Pewter Report podcast. I'm Mark Cook, along with my boss, Scott Reynolds.
That would be me. Hello.
And Mr. John Ledyard. How are you, Johnny?
I am doing wonderful, not only because it's another Bucs victory, but because this one was called by your boy. And I know we're going to get some of my cold takes today. I get that. But I just want to make that statement clear for anybody who's just tuning into the podcast or hearing us live tonight after a great Bucs win. I just want to say that one person believed, and it was your boy.
Well, you might want to let Jason Light know that, John.
I know. I should let him know, honestly. I thought about actually telling him that. I've been like, hey,
you should.
Look.
I'll text him right now.
John's getting roasted on Twitter right now. Explain what happened there, John.
I tweeted right after the Rodgers touchdown with the Key and Peele celebration. I tweeted that if the Bucs didn't find a pass rush in the game, and if they didn't contain Rodgers, it was going to get ugly, something along those lines. And I said if they didn't, okay, so it was obvious disclaimer. If they do those things, then they could win, and they did those things, and they won.
It looked rough.
Twitter doesn't remember those things.
Yeah, exactly. The first quarter was rough, John. I mean,
it was really rough.
144 yards to 22. The Packers completely dominated every facet of the first quarter, from time of possession to the scoreboard 10-0. But gentlemen, the good news is that football, there's 4 quarters. And, you got to play all 4 quarters. The Buccaneers played 3 quarters. The Packers only played 1. And that was a huge difference, Mark, in this monumental win, not just from the scoreboard, 38-10. Let's get the score out there. But Mark, this was a landmark win for this Buccaneer team.
No, I think it's the biggest win this team has had in the last 12 years. I mean, going back a long time. I mean, there's been some surprise wins where the Buccaneers went. They had a win on that 5-game streak back in 2017. I guess it was
Seattle at home. That was a big win.
That was a big win that people weren't expecting, and a couple more. Went to Kansas City and won on the road. But they dominated this game. That Seattle game really came down to the end. They didn't really. I mean, they dominated in the first quarter, and then Seattle kind of hung around. But
they held on. Yeah.
Right, they held on. This was a same thing in that 5-game win streak. They beat the Saints and intercepted Drew Brees 3 times in that game.
Close win, but this was a blowout.
This was a blowout. It was really a monumental thing, something that I wrote about on Thursday, and something that we've all talked about is how important, if they could get this win, how important it would be, for the franchise. And to really listen, the NFL knows that this is a good football team, right?
Right.
But they don't, and the fans know this is a good football team. The players know this is a good football team. But is this a great football team? A win like this puts the Buccaneers in that upper tier, as far as I'm concerned, to bounce back from a disappointing loss, to fall back 10-0 in the first quarter, and then completely dominate a team that was 13-3 last year, that went to the NFC Championship game, that was 4-0. Aaron Rodgers had only been sacked 3 times, had no interceptions on the season, and being undefeated coming in here, and the Buccaneers just dominated the last 3 quarters. These are the kind of wins that can propel a team deep into the playoffs, not just squeak into the playoffs, can push them deep. Now, Scott, here's the deal. We saw that Buccaneer team beat the Saints back in 2017. Then we saw them 2 weeks later go to New Orleans and lose with the playoffs on the line. So consistency, can they keep up the consistency? Go to Las Vegas next week and win. Go to New York and win, and get on a roll here before that big matchup with the Chiefs coming up.
And really, the thing, Mark, is when you look at football, and what I love about it is in college you get 12 games. I mean, not this year, it's COVID, right? But you get 12 shots. In the NFL, you get 16, and that's it. So each one counts, in a huge way. And we in the media, and certainly fans, are always talking about must wins in week 2, if you lose in week 1, that kind of stuff. Just because you only have so many opportunities at this. And I don't care what level you're at, whether it's Pop Warner, high school, college, the NFL, you have to win the winnable games to get in the playoffs. And if you lose a winnable game, you got to make up for it, right?
You do. You're right.
And the thing is, listen, the Bears, you got to give them credit. They're the worst 5-1 team in the NFL. The Bucs gave them that game, and they had to steal a win from one of these teams, the Packers, the Saints, the Chiefs, the Rams, one of these elite teams, we'll call them. And they did that today. Like, it reminded me of my K-State Wildcats, you stump your toe in week 1, half the team's out with COVID, you lose at Arkansas, you lose at home to Arkansas State, right? Sorry, congrats Rick Stroud, but then you go back the next week and you steal a win at number 3 Oklahoma, right? And this kind of had that feel. You gave away the game Thursday night against the Bears, and that was an ugly loss. But then this was a beautiful win. And I think if you can do this and get back on track at 4-2, which is where people were hoping or maybe even expecting them to be right now, John, right. I think they're on schedule now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think this was the team we all knew was there and we all knew they were capable of. Not necessarily, I'm not talking about 38-10 when I say that. I'm just talking about in general, like the level of play that they had. You're not always going to pick six Aaron Rodgers and, almost pick six him again on the next drive.
It's only happened 3 times.
Right. And the Bucs have done it twice.
Sixes, yeah.
Right. Yeah. And so, I mean, that's not always going to happen. So I don't mean the specific breaks in the game necessarily, but I just mean the level of play. And I said this, I think another tweet of mine was after the 2 picks. It was kind of like, okay, like that's probably not going to happen the rest of the game. And right. At that point, obviously, Packers still, it's 14-10. It's like, so how do you come out consistently when you aren't getting the turnovers and shut down this Packers offense? And then they proceeded to do it throughout the rest of the game, 52 yards over the final 3 quarters of action. I think it was 41 plays, if I remember right, for the Packers. I mean, just completely ridiculous dominance by the Bucs defense against an elite offense. I mean, you can't say enough. And, I think honestly, like it started to me when Rodgers just got shook in this game. I think I haven't seen him rattled like that. Even in games where he's played poorly, right. I don't necessarily think that I would say he was shook. Like he was out there like second guessing everything, but he was holding that ball and double clutching it and didn't know where to go with it. And he was
rattled. At times running for his life.
Yeah, running for his life. I just felt like the Bucs dictated the pace the entire second half. I thought, the way Ndamukong Suh went after him at the end of the first half, even though it was a late hit and that wasn't smart, necessarily. I know those penalties offset.
But that brutal sack, that big
the sack just, chucking him down. It was just a statement by the defense, after 2 outings where we didn't think they played as well as they should have, and I'm sure they didn't think they played as well as they should have. To come out in that game, I thought, and throughout those final 3 quarters, just dominate like that. To me, not only was it a physical and athletic, statement about where this team can be, but it was like it was a soul snatching type of win. That's what it was like. It took the Packers' spirit. Like Rodgers that frustrated, like that. That's emboldening for a team moving forward when they can do that.
This was like every game we talk about. It's a chess match, right? Both teams come out, kind of show what they've got, and who makes the better adjustment. Matt LaFleur had Todd Bowles' number that first quarter, right? Those first 2 drives, 144 yards, 10-point lead. Todd Bowles adjusted, and he could do no wrong. It was as masterful of a defensive called game as I've seen, Scott, going back to 2002. I mean, during the Super Bowl season.
Yeah, listen, this Packers offense is no joke. 38 points per game was what they were averaging coming into this game. And if you were to hold Aaron Rodgers to 24 points, congrats on a job well done. Right. We're talking 10 points. We're talking a complete shutout to the point where they just said, "Aaron, you're done" at the 7-minute mark in the 4th quarter. Mm-hmm. We're going to give you the rest of the night off. We're going to wave the white flag. While the Buccaneers were waving the red flag of dominance from quarters 2, 3, and 4. But it really got to Rodgers to the point where even Bruce Arians said he's never seen Aaron Rodgers that shook, to use your term, John, and it showed. It reminded me, and I saw Warren Sapp in the press box, and boy, he was smiling through that mask he was wearing. He came up and fist dabbed me. And we both kind of talked about how this was like an old Buccaneer game in terms of like Packers and Buccaneers in the old, as Sapp would call it, the NFC Norris division, right? With a little nod to Chris Berman there from the ESPN's NFL Game Day. But it reminded you of that type of defensive performance, the kind that we saw back in the 90s and the early 2000s.
Oh, they were so physical. I mean, just so many big hits.
The difference was that the 38 points, the 31 points scored by the offense. We didn't see that too often, did we, Mark, under the Tony Dungy era?
No, that would have been a 17-10 win, back in the Dungy era, which is still a win. But yeah, I mean, it was just really mind-boggling to me, because I was one of those people like John when it was 10-0, thinking, this could get ugly here, because then I think after 10, the Buccaneers got the ball, and went 3 and out, and then the big play by Jamel Dean really turned things around. So I mean, the Packers had an opportunity on that drive, on that pick, to actually go up more. If they go up 17-0 at that point, who knows what happens in the football game. But this is a different team, and this is just a different team, and we've been waiting to see.
And you know what it was, Mark? It was an aggressive team. And why do you come to Pewter Report, fans? Because we get the inside information, we get some inside intel, right, to what's going to happen. And I gave you all a sneak peek about this on Friday in the SR SPAT 5 about being aggressive, right? You heard little hints in some of these conference calls about Bruce Arians saying we got to get after Aaron Rodgers. We can't make him comfortable, and everything that we were hearing from our back channels, everything we were getting from text messages was that they were going to absolutely bring it on both sides of the ball and be aggressive. And that's exactly what you had to do. If you want a shot at the title, you got to take the title. And they took it from a team. This Green Bay team is no joke. They're 13-3 last year, playoff caliber team again this year with the 4-0 start. Green Bay is going to win a lot of games. They're going to be a double-digit win team again. But John, it was pleasantly surprised to see, after the horrific play call from Byron Leftwich giving the ball to Shady on 3rd and 1, right? When you got Ronald Jones averaging 5 yards a carry this year, and you're going to give coming into the game, LaShawn McCoy had 2 carries for -1 yards. So just looking at the stats and the analytics,
don't get the Shady.
It says, man, don't give Shady the ball. If you want to get the ball in Shady's hands, throw him the ball, right? He can catch it out of the backfield. But he's not the guy you want running on 3rd and 1. And that was a mistake. But you know what? And the thing is, I had written a couple paragraphs about how that was a turning point in the game. I had to scratch all that because Byron Leftwich called a really good game after that. And they got the job done in the red zone. We saw 2 touchdowns scored from Ronald Jones, 2 touchdown passes by Tom Brady, 1 to Gronk, who had a fantastic day, and then had Tyler Johnson get his first touchdown. So I thought that the aggressive mentality was there from both sides of the ball, and that's what prevented an Aaron Rodgers comeback. I had people texting me at halftime, what do you think the final score is going to be? I was like, well, Aaron Rodgers is going to come back.
He's going to score something in the second half, you thought.
But he didn't, and that speaks to the dominance by this defense today.
And you were worried that what happened with Sue. In fact, my son texted me. He goes, "Oh no, they've pissed off Aaron Rodgers." I said, "You know what they've done? They've also pissed off Ndamukong Suh. So we'll see who that favors in the second half." And he wasn't just pissed off; he was rattled. And that's a great word you're using, John. He was shook, and that's really surprising coming from a guy that's played as long as he has in this league. But Scott, you and I have seen Aaron Rodgers, for whatever reason, struggle at Raymond James Stadium, going back to Josh Freeman's first start and win in what was that, 2009, and Tanar Jackson with the big interception, and then the Chad Clifton game where Warren Sapp, well, that was actually before that. I don't even, was Rodgers the quarterback, or was that Favre in that game? I can't even remember back then.
I think that was Favre.
It was Rodgers in 2008.
The Buccaneers just seem to have the Packers' number when they
play
Raymond James Stadium.
Yeah, I don't understand. It's just crazy. I mean, really, the guy's own family doesn't like him, and that doesn't faze him. But for some reason, he gets up against that Bucs pass rush, and it's like you know what I mean? He just looks so out of sorts completely. And it's for this guy with such an unflappable personality, it's just really weird to see him like that. But I thought it was a combination of the blitzes, guys winning one-on-one. Certainly, David Bakhtiari getting hurt, which obviously you never want to see, but at the same time, it's like, man, when that happened, it was like right away, Todd Bowles, again, aggression, like you talked about, hit Ricky Wagner with a stunt right off of that, and they couldn't protect. It was like a double sack with Pierre, Paul, and David, I believe it was. But it was just, it was just a game where they just kept coming. And I think because that pass rush was so ferocious, what got overlooked a little bit, and not a lot of people were talking about, other than talking about Jamel Dean's interception, was the cornerback tandem for the Bucs. I think, guys, that the Bucs might have the next great young cornerback tandem in the NFL. There aren't a lot of these around the league right now, consistently week in and week out, that are playing at an elite level. And right now, man, I mean, Carlton Davis, when he is in press man, Devontae Adams, I think, finished this game 6 catches, 61 yards. He had 2 at least later in the game that were decent chunk plays that were against zone coverage where Davis was not in his area. But when Davis was against him in press man, it was Davis, fellas. Davis won that matchup. He was the one with the tip pass that ended up in the interception for Mike Edwards.
And he's not at 100%. It was kind of a game time decision.
Right. Didn't even practice all week. Jamel Dean, 5 pass breakups, 6 pass breakups this season, and that huge interception. I mean, the dude has not been responsible in man coverage for a single. I mean, the Jimmy Graham play, and I thought he played that one even well. So I mean, he just does not have many negative moments. I know Pro Football Focus had him going into the game as a top 5 ranked corner for them, and I can't even imagine coming out of that game. I don't think he gave up a catch, and so just John, a dominant performance.
To your point about Carlton Davis, 4 pass breakups today, 6 tackles, just like you said, tipped the pass that was picked off by Mike Edwards.
And the first play that was the second play of the game where he busts through on the screen. He's the only corner out there. Yeah. He busts through the block and almost picks off that pass. I mean, he is playing elite football. I'm just full disclosure. We kind of laughed when Bruce Arians said like he's a top 10 corner in the league this offseason. Was it this summer? We were like, okay, he's talking up his guy. I mean, we like Davis, but we just top 10. I mean, he's not wrong this season. He's been a top 10 corner in the league.
That's and Carlton Davis dropped the pick today. He had a pick. He was going back for the ball and landed it, just bounced out of his hands. But that would have been pick number 4 for him.
Yeah. Well, he's playing absolutely awesome. And Jamel Dean's playing great. And it's going to come to a point in the conversation. I feel kind of bad because it's not like Sean Murphy Bunting has been bad, but Dean is just clearly better. He's a more opportunistic player. Yes. You know, it matters. He's a better athlete. I mean, it matters.
And you know what? He plays with such confidence. Sean Murphy Bunting, since he's come back from the injury, to me, is playing a little timid and not playing with a lot of confidence. When he does get beat, he tends to kind of look around like, was I in the right spot? And I think you got to get Jamel Dean out there, opposite of Carlton Davis. And
and
you're right. Scott, let me ask you this real quick, and then you can go to your point. Best 2 duo that we've seen in Buccaneer history. Donnie Abraham, Brian Kelly, Rondé Barber, kind of that mix of those 3 guys. Yeah. These guys can be as good, if not better, at some point. I mean, they're at this stage in their career. Jamel Dean only in his second year of opportunity to start. Really not even a full season. This guy just has natural instincts and physical traits too. The ability to close and to make that pick 6 like he did today. Most cornerbacks, that's a routine completion. They come up and make the tackle, right? But he was able to make that break, and he almost had one against Chicago, or was that Carlton last? It was Dean on that one as well. So anyway, they're only going to get better, I think.
I think so, and really, I think what we're seeing is these guys maturing and growing up a little bit, right? Dean and Sean Murphy Bunting, they're young guys. I mean, they are, just from the way they act and carry themselves. They're young, but they're growing up fast. The thing about Dean, though, is if he continues this play, then he might become cornerback 2. Adam G from one of our comments says Dean gets too lazy for cornerback 2, but I think he's grown up. That's what kind of leads me to this point.
Right.
And really, the difference is right now, Sean Murphy Bunting is cornerback 2, which means when they're in base defense, it's he and Carlton Davis that are out there starting the game. And then when they move to nickel, that's when Sean Murphy Bunting goes from inside to the slot, and then Jamel Dean comes in.
But they're in nickel a lot, so he does.
They're in nickel a lot, exactly. But you might be at the point where Jamel Dean is the starting cornerback, and then when you're in nickel, then you bring in Sean Murphy Bunting for the slot. I think we're almost there, and it's a little bit of a reversal because at the end of the year, Sean Murphy Bunting was maybe one of the best cornerbacks on this team. He had 3 interceptions, the pick 6. To shut down the Lions, that he had the pick in the end zone. So when you talk about that trio of cornerbacks, Mark, the thing that stands out is Donnie Abraham was the all-time leading interceptor for the Buccaneers, and then Rondé Barber passed him. I think Iceman had 31 interceptions, I believe, and then Barber ended up with 47 interceptions. And then Brian Kelly really struggled catching the ball, almost like Carlton Davis. Where he'd go through a season with no interceptions or 1 interception, and all of a sudden, boom, the Super Bowl year, it was 8. It was 8 in the Super Bowl year, and in the year prior, Rondé Barber had 10. So I think that's where this group needs to get to, is that playmaking trio in terms of getting the interceptions. Mike Tomlin said something that always stuck with me. He told his defensive backs when he got to Tampa in 2001, replacing Herm Edwards, he says, you got to stop with the celebrating the pass breakups. This nonsense. Who cares? It's a pass breakup. You failed. You didn't get the interception. Your job is to get the ball back for the offense. And he set the standard. And guess what? After a year of Mike Tomlin, what happened in 2002? The Buccaneers set a franchise record with 31 interceptions. 31. Yeah. Now, the linebackers got some of those, right? We know Derek Brooks had 5 that year, including a couple he took back for touchdowns. But that's the difference. If you want to be good, and this is a good unit right now, you got to make those Jamel Dean type plays like you did today, because that will get you fast tracked to great. And we've seen Carlton Davis come through with 3 picks, should have had 4. We've seen Dean now with the pick 6, and Sean Murphy Bunting. It's his turn to step up and be like the guy that he was last year. And I think the injuries have hindered him a little bit.
Absolutely. We got some questions I want to get to too. A bunch of people want us to talk about the McClendon acquisition. We've gotten several questions on this. Bucs traded for Steve McClendon, defensive tackle for the Jets. He was a Steeler, so I actually am kind of pretty familiar with him. And then he's obviously was with the Jets, was with there when Todd Bowles was there. So knowing the system's going to be there, Todd Bowles got the best play out of him, I thought. He's almost 35, so he's old, but he is a run stuffer. He is very physical. He's all business. He's made a career out of being just an early down player, and he's been very good at it. Pro Football Focus grades him highly. I've always thought highly of him when I've watched the Jets. I thought he got better every year after Izzy got older, to be honest. I haven't seen him this year at all, but thought last year he played great. So, they're going to shelter his snaps. He is going to be a guy that doesn't play a ton of football for them, but he's going to be helpful in that role, I think. And I don't know. I know some people also want to know what we thought of the missing Vita Vea today. I'm definitely going to look at the tape on some of the run defense. I mean, I think they defended the run fine. Wasn't
they had 94
quite up to
yards
the normal
total.
standards. But I think that one of the biggest things was the pass rush. When they were rushing with 4, there wasn't hardly any interior push. They started running games and they started blitzing, and that's when things started being successful. They got the backup tackle in there. That's when things really started breaking down for Green Bay. But early in the game, when I thought it was mostly 4, and when the inside guys were not getting a huge push until he started moving them gaps and switching them spots. So that's something to watch for, and that's an area where I don't think McClendon's going to be a huge help as a pass rusher. It's
interesting too, because McClendon is 6'4", 280. He is really like an undersized guy. At least that's what he's listed at. I don't know if that's an old measurement or something, but
he's not big. I think that's probably too small, but he's not a huge guy. No, he's not. He's very stout.
He's not a 350 Vea.
No, exactly. He
can play, but he can eat doubles still. Like he can, he's just very.
He does the dirty work. I was reading one of the Jets websites, and he was actually this summer before the season started, he was voted by this website as the most underappreciated or underrated player on the entire Jets roster because of the dirty work that he does that you don't get a lot of recognition for. And you know what? He's just going to be part of that rotation with Nacho and maybe Ledbetter. Khalil Davis, of course, is going to get an opportunity when he gets healthy again. So. Again, they gave up 94 total yards rushing, but again, you mentioned it right out of the gate, John. That after that first quarter, it was less than 60 yards the rest of the game, and that's just mind-boggling to me.
And guys, you're talking about Aaron Jones, who was coming in here. This Packers run game was averaging 150 yards per game on the ground. Now the Bucs got 158 yards themselves running the ball with Ronald Jones getting his 3rd straight 100-yard game. But you just look at Jamel.
Chef Aaron saying, "Are they best running back duo in the NFL when Fournette comes back?"
No, we'll have to see. But what I like is the job they did on Aaron Jones today. Not just Aaron Rodgers, Aaron Jones. 10 carries, 15 yards. Jones had 1 touchdown, but averaged 1.5 yards. You had the big breakout run from Jamal Williams, the 25-yarder. But even Williams only had 34 yards in the game.
And late in the game, A.J. Dillon, there was backups in for the Bucs. It was late. It was a meaningless play, but he got a big gain. So
really what you did is you held the Packers about almost 60 yards under their average in terms of running the ball.
Right. And yeah, so I thought, when you look at what they did defensively, collectively in every facet of the game, to be honest, especially after 10-0, complete and utter shutdown, I think. And it's the kind of defensive performance that you hope, spurs you on to continue. You go up against the Raiders, you've got, some tough ones coming up, that are going to be big games in terms of this team continuing to define who they are.
Saints, Rams, and Chiefs on the horizon.
That's right. Yeah, exactly right. And so there are big ones coming up. So this is great, I think, for their confidence. But we also, if we're being honest, and I know we have more to talk about here, but we haven't seen this team have to, how do they handle this type of success? And so I think that's going to be something we learn about them moving forward. But can't say much more about this game. And I would certainly bet on the fact that this is a win that kind of spurs them on to bigger and better things. Scott, I know you like to do a little bit of betting yourself. Anything that you bet on this weekend that worked out well for you?
I would really, it was about 500. I kind of broke even on a lot of bets.
That's winning betting in my book. You won, man. I'm happy.
I've had worse weekends, Mark. That's for sure. But listen, Buck fans, between the NFL, college football, and there's a little thing called the World Series going on. I think the Rays are in it, right? How about that? Yes. How about the Buccaneers? How about the Buccaneers following up, right? You have the Lightning win the Stanley Cup. Then you've got maybe the Rays win the World Series. Let's not get ahead of ourselves, but it's looking pretty good. Then the Buccaneers in Tampa Bay at Ray J, Super Bowl 55. Who knows, right? But listen, there's no shortage of games to watch right now. Thousands of lines available for your favorite sport teams and events. You can turn your game day into payday with MyBookie. If you're the type of guy who likes to back the big favorites, consider putting a couple in a parlay for a much bigger payout. Not only do parlays make meaningless games more exciting, but more importantly, they give you a chance to turn an ordinary bet into a real moneymaker. And don't forget the underdogs. They got a ton of value. I like to bet the money line. So be sure to check out the money line bets that they've got at MyBookie. Game spreads, championship futures, player prop bets. It's never too late to get in on the action and start turning your sports knowledge into actual cash in your wallet. Sign up at MyBookie. When you do, use the promo code Pewter. That's PEWTER to claim a deposit match dollar for dollar all the way up to $1,000. It's a bonus designed to give you a little help and a head start on your winning season. That's promo code Pewter for your claim to a bonus that's going to double your initial deposit. Stacked UFC cards, presidential prop bets, all the major sports and more. Sign up today to begin your winning season exclusively at MyBookie.
Yeah, use MyBookie, not Mark's bookie, because if you ask MyBookie for $1,000 advance, he would probably slap you.
I'm going to break your leg.
You may end up in a trunk somewhere at the bottom of the Hillsborough River. How do you know that MyBookie sounds like that? But anyway, I'm going to start using your bookie, Scott, which happens to be MyBookie. So definitely go check those guys out. And while we're taking a quick pause from football talk, we just want to remind our listeners, if you have a business or you work for a company that could use some help in advertising, getting customers in your business, in your store, in your restaurant, and in your sales environment, whatever it is, let Pewter Report help. I mean, this win, obviously, our traffic has been through the roof the entire year. The Tom Brady effect isn't just on the NFL. I mean, on the Buccaneers locker room. It's huge for all of us right now. And, we can show you the Google Analytics. We can show you the number of visits. We can show you the impressions that your ads will get. And we can curtail something. We can think outside the box. If you don't just want just an ad on the website, maybe you want to sponsor one of the columns. Maybe you want to sponsor the Monday mailbag or the Bucs briefing, whatever it may be.
Or the Pewter Report podcast.
Or the Pewter Report podcast. The titled sponsor is still wide open. So give any of the three of us a call. But you can reach myself, Mark, at pewterreport.com. Scott is SR at pewterreport.com. And John, I don't have any idea. It's just my computer. How do people reach you via email?
Oh, via email, jledge15@gmail.com.
There you go. Let us help you out. We can certainly increase your business, and we'd be happy to do that. And look forward to talking to you soon. The Bucs offense, we talked about how great the defense was, guys. This offense played really efficient and mistake-free football, but still not their best football. Your best receiver on the football team has one catch for 10 yards, and you scored 38 points. Well, 31 because of the pick six.
Right.
But, I mean, it's just amazing where they
And you didn't show up for the first quarter. offensively.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's there's so much more that this offense can do. Tom Brady said it after the game.
They only had
I mean,
one drive in the first quarter too. That was a weird, what a weird game that was. But at the beginning of it anyway. But yeah, I mean, it was one of those games where it's like, man, they didn't really involve Mike Evans, but it was also like, I don't know if it's not a big deal. Like, I mean, it's not. I know that it's like a reprogramming of the way Bucs fans think. I think because in the past, if you didn't involve Mike Evans in your offense, you were not going to win the football game probably. And so I think that seeing Mike Evans get one catch for 10 yards is hard for Bucs fans to like rationalize how it could have been a good offensive performance while also seeing that because they're programmed, and I get it completely. Now, this isn't a knock, but they're just kind of, I think, programmed to think if he doesn't produce, this offense wasn't good. But I think the offense was good. It was efficient throughout most of the game. There were definitely things I didn't like from a play calling perspective and an approach in the game. But at the same time, Brady made plays on third downs. They used tons of different receivers. Brady has consistently spread the ball around all game. He doesn't lock on any one guy. He just spreads the ball around. Nobody really feasted today. I mean, you could say Gronk certainly, and we'll talk about that in a little bit too, had his best game as a Buck, and Chris Godwin's impact was obvious. But, it was also another thing where I wonder, I'm anxious to look at the snaps and see how many snaps Mike Evans even played in that game, especially as it got out of hand. But I just felt like the fact that they could take some time and get him 100% without having to rely on him to be the horse today was huge.
They didn't need him today.
Right, they didn't. Yeah. Exactly right. And so, it's not – this game was 28-10. And they hadn't used him. So at that point, it's like, okay, we don't need him.
But when Mike Evans is on the field, he takes attention, right? He gains attention. So while he's not putting up stats, he's still helping that offense in a small way too, because he is taking some of the focus away from some of the other guys. And the thing about Tom Brady is he's not going to force the ball just because you're the $20 million receiver. I mean, he's going to find the open guy. And one of the big keys I thought today with the efficiency of this offense was the bounce back game from the offensive line, which was dreadful. They played great against the Chargers, terrible game against the Bears the other night, but a great game tonight or today on Sunday against the Packers. And look, we've said it all along. If this offensive line protects Tom Brady with the amount of weapons they have here, this team can score 30, 35, 40 points on a consistent basis. They're just that loaded offensively. But it all starts up front. You got to give Tom Brady time. He's not going to evade a lot of people.
They didn't beat themselves today. I got so sick and tired of writing that damn story. Bucs beat Bucs. I got so sick and tired of it. I mean, listen, we're human beings, right? I mean, I would like to cover a play. Well, I mean, you're an alien, but
it's a good point, Mark.
But I would like for the narrative to be changed after a dozen years. It's time to for Tom Brady to lead his people out of the wasteland and back to the playoffs. and you can't beat yourselves if you're going to do that. This team didn't do that. No penalties today. 0. In my 25 years of covering this team, I've never ever covered a Buccaneer team that has had 0 penalties in the game. And no sacks, no penalties, 150 plus rushing yards. This offensive line totally paved the way for a fantastic day for this offense, and really rebounded from what was a dreadful second half, especially in Chicago.
And this was not a bad Green Bay front four, right? I mean, this was a good, a solid pass rushing team. I mean, it wasn't like, they were playing the JV squad.
Zadarius Smith was a non-factor. I mean, he's the pressure leader last year in the NFL, and one of the sack leader, up there in sacks, and he was a non-factor. I mean, I didn't even. He was not noticeable throughout the entire game. Tristan Wirfs again. I mean, we just can't say it enough. He's been one of the best offensive tackles in football this year. Like it's crazy to say because he's a rookie and that position usually takes a while to acclimate, but I think he's been absolutely phenomenal. And, I think the whole offensive line, you said, I mean, protection was terrific throughout the game. Obviously wasn't a game where they had to drop Brady back, 7-step drops all game and chuck it deep, but they still did their fair share of deep passing. And, I think that's something that this team has to be able to do. They have to be able to hit those plays down the field. You saw the play action to Godwin, the pass interference penalty, Scotty Miller, the 31-yarder to Gronkowski as well. That's something they have to be able to do, and protection has to hold up to do those things. And it did, and it has throughout most of the season. It's a huge plus moving forward.
And they were hell-bent on getting Cyril Grayson a catch today. Did you see that? Even Blaine Gabbert tried to get him the ball in the fourth quarter. Scott is beating the drum for this. They're going to get this guy a catch at some point this season. I mean, everybody else has a catch.
It's nothing personal.
The only way he catches it is with his face mask. I'm telling you.
Bruce Arians says it's not personal. It's not like I don't like you. I just don't like your football. Right? That's what he says to players. It's not personal. It's just I don't like your football.
Right.
I just don't like Cyril Grayson's football.
Yeah.
Him as a football player. I don't know why you run that ball out and start at the 17-yard line or whatever. I mean, just
they think because he's fast. It goes back to Bruce. Has always had a hand in drafting his wide receivers. But you think about the guys at Arizona they draft. The JJ Nelson. Oh, he's fast. He's one of the last UAB guys, and before they shut down that program for a little while, and it was like, man. He's fast. Like he's like 165 pounds or something. It's like he's fast. We got to get him out there. We just got to get guys out there like that. Yeah. And then the pass interference happened last week, and in the Bears game, and I knew after that I was like, he's getting 10 snaps from here on out, just because he loves that speed. That's always been his thing, and Jason Light's with him on that. They agree on that.
Well,
and most of the time it works out for him.
Well, look, guys. I mean, you can say he's not very good, but he only had one less catch than Mike Evans today. Just saying.
True.
He's not far off from being Mike Evans.
That's right. It's pretty close.
Yeah.
And now everyone has left the live broadcast.
Yeah, they're like out. Somebody just asked, "Are we live?" Yeah, we were live, but no,
we were. Now nobody's here. but the connection that was clearly back in this game was Brady to Gronk. I mean, Gronk has dealt with. I don't know how much y'all roll through Twitter during these games, but Gronk deals with some slander. I mean, it is.
Even from our own staff, Grizz was making fun of the way he runs today.
Grizz.
I was like, you tell Gronk he's not very athletic.
Listen, I'm not saying that the guy that the guy is, but he's never been a burner. I watch tape of this team every week. He is still creating separation. I mean, you saw him running away from defensive backs today. I don't know why people are. I get it. I get this part. He is not the guy you want to use on screens. That part is ridiculous. Right. The Patriots didn't even do that. So that often. So I don't understand that whole fascination. But down the field, he's made plays vertically. He's made contested catches. He made one, a couple weeks ago in the Chargers game. I mean, he's made one today in the end zone that was phenomenal. And then again, on the cross.
31-yarder today,
Yeah, I don't.
And everything. So
he looks great, I think.
I thought the adjustment he made on his touchdown was as good of an adjustment as you're going to see from a Mike Evans or even a Chris Godwin, the way he was able to turn his body completely around, go up at high point, and still box out the defender on that play. I just thought that's something that I don't know that O.J. Howard makes that catch yet. I mean, I don't know that he's there yet as far as a receiver, but that's just part of Gronk and Brady kind of having that chemistry. I mean, Brady knew on that third down, and I was screaming, "It's 3rd and 6. Why are you trying to throw?" But what do I know? They end up scoring a touchdown on it. I'm one of those guys that hate when you go deep when it's 3rd and 4. Just get the first down and keep the chain.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, when you look at Gronkowski, 5 catches, 78 yards, and a touchdown. And then you've got Godwin too coming back. I mean, he did enough as a chain mover today, working the inside. 5 catches, 48 yards, had a 25-yarder. And I thought
all his plays were big. All his plays were impactful. Yeah. I thought, he broke a tackle and he got close to a first down on the second drive of the game or something like that. And he comes out. He catches a screen, and he's the only guy that can do anything on screens on the whole team. I don't, I just forget it with anybody else. He's the only guy, and so he makes the play down the field in the play action. He's just tough, and he makes catches in the middle of the field, and he keeps the offense on schedule. And I think if they had more plays offensively, especially plays that mattered offensively, then this would have been like a game where you could have seen more production from Chris Godwin and Mike Evans. But the reality was, Scott, they just did not have a lot of plays offensively where they needed to be utilizing those kinds of guys. It just wasn't something that they did consistently drop. Mark, you're back.
I'm not going to slam my internet provider. But anyway, it just occasionally just decides to quit and just disconnects. So anyway, Vectrum.
It's a seamless recovery.
Right.
But I think that the Gronk's involvement in the offense, great thing, because there are going to be games where Mike Evans eats. The only thing that bothers me about the Mike Evans thing is I have this weird, guys. I really want Mike Evans to get to 1,000 yards.
Yeah,
I just want it. I think he deserves it. I think he's that caliber of a player, and I know he's been banged up.
You're going to see. You're going to see a push later in the year, and I think December is going to be Mike Evans' month. I think you're going to see him stack 150-yard games. They're going to do everything they can to get there. But you know what? And here's the thing. And Mark, you and I have covered him since his rookie season in 2014. He wants to win. That's all he cares about is winning. Would he like to make the playoffs and beat Randy Moss's record with 7 consecutive 1,000-yard seasons to start his career? Yes, he would. If you went to him before this season and said, Mike, one of these things has to give. Either you're not making the playoffs this year, or you're going to lose your consecutive yard streak, but you will make the playoffs. He's going to take that every time.
Scott, he laugh at you for asking. That's right.
I actually asked him that a couple weeks ago on one of the Zoom calls, and he said, Mark, you know me better than that. He says, I want to win. I haven't won since I've been here. I want to win. Stats are nice, all those accolades. The man has made a lot of money. He's going to continue to make a lot of money. But again, ask a guy like DeMar Dotson what it's like to go through, a 10 or 12-year career and not make the playoffs. Gerald McCoy, another guy. So
Levante David still on this team has never been to a playoff game.
By the way, I'm so happy for Levante to be able to showcase and show the nation how good this guy is.
You called in your hook. He wanted to make a statement, and he did. He was everywhere in the run game. A sack and a half on national television. This was the Fox game of the week. So kudos to you for calling it. John, kudos to you. You called it with the pewter pants.
Right? Pewter pants.
As TB Ray 13 points out, that's the uniform combination. And nobody hates the all-white look more than me. I don't care what you say, Buccaneers.
That's true.
It's clean.
I like the all-white look.
It looks fresh. Okay, great.
I like it.
Like the first game of the year and then move on. All right, it's all white, great.
I agree that they had.
Then go with the pewter pants. Pewter pants is where it's at. We like pewter here.
And these that for some strange reason we do.
I love the pewter on pewter.
That's Tom Brady's favorite.
I'm not a fan of the pewter on pewter, but I will say,
come on,
I didn't even recognize that team. Even when I look back, I was looking at some photos earlier tonight. It's okay.
Badass.
It's got to grow on me. It's a good looking uniform.
Okay, well, you know what?
But we've never seen it before, so it looks odd to me.
Number one, they're completely undefeated in that all pewter look. Number two, they're undefeated this year in pewter pants. They're only 2-2 with the all white look. So
I'm ready for the. I would love a red jersey and white pants, or a red and the pewter combination. I'm ready for the red jerseys for sure.
Yeah, they're coming.
Well,
and actually, I think the next time they're wearing all pewter is going to be. It's going to be against the Giants on Monday Night Football. That's the next time I believe they wear all pewter. So that's coming up. You know what else is coming up?
No.
I got to call Briar Greaves. I got to call him tomorrow.
You still haven't done that yet?
No, I haven't.
I actually have to call him myself for something too. But we got to give Briar Greaves a call, and the best way to do that is to reach him by phone or on their website at briargreavesinsurance.com. But give them a call. What I love about Briar Greaves, they're my personal insurance agent. They handle my homeowner's policy. Is just the personal service you get. And when you call, you can ask for Briar. You can ask for Sam, Briar's dad. Sam's the son. Just good people, good laid-back people. I've went in there, Scott and John, and we went in there to talk business, and it's 45 minutes later, and we've done nothing but talk about Buccaneer football. It's just like talking to one of your buddies at the office or a family member. They just put you at ease. And besides that fact, they just offer tons of services that every single person needs. It's not like a car dealership, right? You don't always need a car. You don't always need an attorney. But everybody needs some type of insurance, whether it's your home, auto, life, business, personal, homeowners, renters insurance. They've got some lines of insurance that I promise you that you need. And even if you think you're fully covered, why not give Sam or Briar a call and let them take a look at what you have? Hurricane season is not over completely. Give them a shout at 876-4166. Of course, that's area code 813, but it's 876-4166. Give them a call and just chat with them and talk to them about what you have now. Let them compare. Let them shop around your rates.
It costs nothing, Mark. It costs nothing
exactly.
to give them a call and compare your rates. And you know what? If their rates are lower, then you just save money just by making a phone call.
Yep, absolutely. And they'll tell you. They'll say, you know what? I can't beat this. or they'll say, yeah, we can. Let's do something about it. So anyway, every penny counts in today's economic times. Why not save money? Give Briar Greaves a call or visit them on their website, briargreavesinsurance.com, briargreavesinsurance.com, or 813-876-4166. Even if for some reason you don't need insurance, which is just not true, give them a shout, send them an email, and thank you for being a proud sponsor of the Pewter Report podcast. All right, what else we got before we wrap this thing up?
Well, we got to talk about the big picture impact, as we always do. 4-2, the record. We talked about the trade for McClendon a little bit and how it should help shore up the run defense as well.
Real quick, what are the terms of that trade, just so we let everybody know?
They're swapping. Hang on, I will tell you.
It's the Bucs and the Jets that are swapping picks, right?
Yeah, and
picks.
The number isn't exactly. I mean, the exact round hasn't, but it's swapping late round picks in 2022 and 2023.
Am I crazy that we don't see, like, I'm not remembering this wrong, right? We don't really see game day trades with two teams that are playing that day, right? Like, that's weird, right?
It's rare that it happens.
I was going to say, that was so weird.
I think the Jets were holding out hope they might win today and go on a playoff run, and they didn't want to get rid of McClendon.
As soon as they get out of the game, they were just like, hit send on the trade.
and trust me, it's going to be a fire sale in New York. They already got rid of Le'Veon Bell. And
Adam Gase better be next.
He is awful. He is absolutely the worst.
How about Christine Arians' retweet tonight of
we have fired Todd Bowles
for Adam Gase,
right?
And she says something to the effect of like,
"Thank
God we got him. Worked out well for us." Yeah.
So, you know what? Those Arians, even Jake got into it a little bit tonight on Twitter. He gets fiery as well too.
Yeah, I love Jake. He's a must follow on Twitter.
And we didn't, John, you didn't explain fully why you were getting roasted. You talked about what your tweet was, but we didn't mention that somebody tweeted back at you, which encouraged a lot of Buccaneer fans to hammer you. Jason Light himself.
I thought that's what the premise was.
I don't think we even mentioned that part of it. I don't think we got to that. I don't know that we got to that.
I think we might have mentioned it, but it's worth mentioning again.
Yeah.
To have the GM quote tweet you and light you up.
Right. Yeah. Hey, he loves to get on and check out what everybody's saying after these games.
Oh, yeah.
We know that. So
all these football people that say, well, we don't read the papers or we don't read the internet. No, they read. They follow Twitter. They know what's being said about him. Bill Belichick may not, but everybody else in the world
That's true. That's fair. Yeah. Belichick, I really believe him when he says that, but everybody else, nah. I
guarantee you he still has a flip phone. Guarantee you.
Well, I mean, the thing is there are players and we'll call them Bucs brass people that when we write something that they disagree with, they will let us know. They'll text us and we'll have a little debate or conversation about it, which is always fun. It's cool. It's PewterReport.com is very well read, not just by the Buccaneer fan base, but by the powers that be, all the way to the top. The Blazers read it too. And
we actually had a player take exception to something John wrote recently too. So occasionally we get players that hammer us as well.
Did we? I don't even remember. It moves so quickly through my head. So it was Taylor. That was Taylor that wrote that.
Oh, it was Taylor.
Yeah,
that was Taylor. Yeah.
Jordan Whitehead got on Taylor.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, Grizz got. So that was
nobody's got hammered.
DM, though, so
nobody's got hammered as bad as me with Donald Penn, though.
Oh, yeah, we just outed Grizz, didn't we?
I've got hundreds of mentions, Scott.
Wow.
Yeah.
Come on. Don't compare us.
It still doesn't compare to the Donald Penn when he wanted to fight me. When he literally threatened me on Twitter, that was classic.
Well, I thought that was he was blowing up my phone on wasn't it like Labor Day or something?
It was Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I was on vacation. He was like blowing up my phone, like ripping you, cursing you.
And then it made
that was fantastic.
Pro Football Talk, and then everybody picked it up. In fact, if you Google just Mark Cook and Donald Penn, and there's literally like over 1 million, at the bottom of the Google thing. I mean, it's and it's funny. Me and Donald, we made up, but a few years ago we saw him at the NFL owners meeting, and you're like, go talk to him. I'm like, I'm not going to talk to him. He's at the bar drinking right now. I mean, it was fine in the Buccaneer locker room when he was sober, but he's still big. He was playing for the Raiders at the time. He was still in really good shape. And anyway, we had a good time in Orlando, and actually Donald and I chat all the time. Occasionally when I say, when I write an article and I talk about the offensive line, when I say a former player, I'm just going to let you know it's Donald Penn. I'm just going to reveal my source right now. I can always ask Donald Penn about things. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was actually him I asked about Tristan Wirfs switching mid-season over to the left side if Donovan continued to play well, and he's the one that said it can be done. He had to do it one year, but he said you don't want to do it, and they're paying Donovan way too much to do that anyway right now. They're going to let it play out this year.
John, the cool thing about PewterReport.com is really the readers, is you guys, Buck fans, that you turn to us for your Bucs news and insight. And the reason why you do so is because you're smart. You're a really educated fan base. And I'm going to put up here, Vegas. We're 3-0 at home. It feels good to have home wins. Boy, that's a hell of a stat. I didn't even think about that. For a team that has not gone past 500 at home since John Gruden was head coach, this team has not had a winning record at home. The best they had was 2 back-to-back seasons of 4-4 at home under Dirk Cutter. But even last year, Mark, they won 2 home games under Bruce Arians.
I know. Right? I actually got tired of you writing about it in the Fab the last 6 or 7 years, how bad their home record has been. But you've been absolutely right. Yeah. You can't be a playoff team and be sub 500 at home. Yep, absolutely.
3-0 to start, and let's see if they can keep the momentum going.
Can I just say one thing? I was thinking about this throughout the entire game. What the only downer of this entire game was the fact that stadium wasn't packed, and Buccaneer fans couldn't see that dominating performance in person. I kept thinking about that, and you were actually at the game, but I kept thinking to myself, man, this is a game. And yes, there would have been 20,000 Packers fans there, but it would have just been an insane environment, particularly in that second half. So anyway, hate it for the Buck fans that couldn't be there. 4-2. Going to Las Vegas next Sunday night, right? It's a Sunday
Raiders
night
have a bye week, right? They don't play this week.
Right.
So they'll be rested and prepared. John Gruden in the Death Star against his former team. So that should be interesting.
Raiders have been all over the place, man. I'm still not quite sure what to make of this team. The Saints game, everybody's like, here they go. Gruden's team finally getting it together. Then they lose to the Patriots, get crushed by the Patriots, really. Lose a close one to the Bills. And the Patriots haven't looked like world beaters lately either. And lose a close one to the Bills, but didn't really play well offensively. I think they scored late in the game to cut it to a 1-score game, and then beat the Chiefs and looked great on offense. Threw the ball down the field and made big play. Like, that's not something they've ever done with Derek Carr. Not in the last couple of years. So tough team to figure out.
As we peel back the curtain a little bit and reveal some things, Scott, you're not going to believe the text I just got. And we were talking about we get text when people don't like what we write. And I'm not even going to say who it is or anything, but they sent a link of our most disappointing and said, really, this week, the best game we've had in a decade? And you put up the most disappointing. I haven't had a chance. I just got that text as we're talking here. And listen, we get it. And Matt prefaced it very well. Clearly, they didn't read the article that we didn't. It was a great win. It's hard to pick out, but it's something we've done consistently for at least the last 10 years, maybe even before I've been here. It doesn't matter if they would have won 73-0 and set an NFL record for the largest margin of victory. Somebody didn't play great, and and again, it's not they're bad players.
By God,
it was disappointing.
Point it out.
Right, we are. We're going to point it out. Look, man, that's actually probably our most read post game story. We're not going to leave that out. I'm sorry.
Well said, Mark.
I may have to let you respond to this person, though, Scott. You're a little more diplomatic than I am.
Okay. I think I know who it is.
Because I'm going to be like, don't you have more important things to do right now than worry about this? Go enjoy the win. Don't worry about us right now. But anyway,
exactly.
Yeah. But you're right. You know who it is. But anyway. Yeah. Woo. By the way, I'm not drinking. This is Mountain Valley Spring Water. I'm giving them a free plug. Elvis drank this water from Arkansas. It's delicious. You can get it at Publix now. It's available everywhere. Mountain Valley, if you're listening, I'm going to contact you later this week because we want you to be the official water sponsor of PewterReport.com. So just giving you a heads up. It's not alcohol.
We'll be back tomorrow, too, with podcast, 4 p.m. Make sure you catch us. We'll be live tomorrow. Got lots of good content in store for you this week. It's going to be a fun week on the podcast. We'll also have you make sure that you subscribe to us on YouTube, Pewter Report TV. Search us on YouTube and hit that subscribe button. Hundreds of people following and subscribing in the last couple of days, 10 days, 2 weeks now, and it's been awesome. We've been able to bump that subscriber count up a lot, and so it's been a lot of fun because we get to jump on here and interact with y'all and you get your comments put up on the screen, and we'll have shows as we move forward too that we're interacting a lot with them. But we got 4 shows coming this week, and it's going to be a lot of fun moving forward on this podcast. We're going to have a blast with it. So just keep following along for more and more great content. We'll have tons of film breakdowns, getting all the nitty gritty of this win.
Thank you,
which huge Bucs win. And
we got some game balls. We got some game balls.
Game balls. Let's give out some game balls.
All right.
You want me to go first?
You first.
Yeah, go for it, John.
All right. Offensively, I'm giving a game ball to Ali Marpet because I just think the guy is unbelievably dominant this season. I think he's having a special season. It's pass protection first and foremost. It always is, but run blocking, he is just taking it to another level. Late in that game, it was statement time. And I just think he's played incredible football. And late in that game, I thought he was just outstanding. Guys running behind him, and he was creating space, moving people off the ball. And that was when the Packers knew they were going to run the football. And so he was just taking people's will late in that game. He's playing elite football. So I was pumped for him. And then defensively, I'm going with Lavonte David. I thought he was absolutely phenomenal in this game. He's phenomenal every week, and we get used to it. But I'm just pumped. National media is getting a chance to see this guy. That we've got a national game last week, and this one was national. Everybody's watching it for America's game of the week, and then we've got 3 coming up, night games coming up in a row, and people are going to be talking about him in a vein that he should have been talked about throughout his whole career. And he was on a sack and a half, couple tackles for loss. He was all over the field. He's a phenomenal football player, and easily, in my opinion, their most valuable player on defense.
I'm going to go offensively with Rob Gronkowski. We finally saw the touchdown and the Gronk spike finally.
Gronk spike.
But he and Tom are finally getting into a groove, right? I mean, number one, they're trusting Tristan Wirfs a little bit more. They're not sticking Gronkowski there just to be an additional offensive lineman. He's getting out on pass routes more and more. And I think that's just going to continue to grow as the offensive line hopefully performs better. They'll feel like they can put Gronkowski out more as a pass catcher. And he and Tom just have a great chemistry, and why not utilize that? Who knows how much longer Rob Gronkowski is going to play? Maybe it's just this year. Maybe it's one more. We'll see. But Rob Gronkowski with the big touchdown catch today, and I believe led the team in receiving yards, if I'm not mistaken. So he gets my game ball. Defensively, I was going to go Lavonte David as well, but I thought Devin White was just as good. I mean, those guys were he actually led the team in tackles. But he backed it up. When a player says, he wants the coach to unleash him, you worry about that a little bit. Is he going to have a bit of that Quan Alexander over aggressiveness? We didn't see that today. Couple minor lapses in pass coverage, letting guys kind of slip away a little bit. But as far as run defense goes, he was a man on a mission. And he and Lavonte just attacked those A-gap blitzes. I mean, they were flying through there. I thought Devin timed his blitzes better than he has in any game so far, and was very, very effective going up against one of the better offensive lines, statistically the best offensive line in the NFL, only giving up 3 sacks before today. So Devin White gets my game ball.
Defensively, I'm going to go with Jamel Dean, right? The pick 6 was the game changer, John, and to see that type of play, just really that was the beginning of the end for Aaron Rodgers, and just the jolted energy that it gave not just the defense but the offense too was exactly what this team needed to rebound. And you've seen his confidence grow the second half against the Bears game, and he just carried over into this game. So Jamel Dean with the play of the day, and I wouldn't be shocked. I haven't looked around the league, but he might just be NFC Defensive Player of the Week for that game-changing pick, that pick 6. Offensively, then I saw him run. Now I'm a believer.
Keyshawn
Ronald
Vaughn?
Jones. No, not Keyshawn Vaughn. Ronald Jones.
LaShawn McCoy?
Keyshawn Vaughn.
Ronald Jones, Rojo. 3 100-yard games in a row. I'm a believer. Not that I was a denier, but I wasn't all in. But I'm all in now. This isn't a fluke. This guy's legit. I didn't know heading into this season if he could be a 1,000-yard back, or if he could be a 1,200-yard back, or if he just was, what we saw last year, around 800 yards, kind of a guy that you need a compliment to. And I'll tell you what, I said it when Leonard Fournette came in, and I thought that Leonard Fournette, with that performance in Week 2 against Carolina, the way he sealed that win, I said it's might be only a matter of time before Leonard Fournette becomes RB1. But they brought Leonard Fournette to do one of 2 things: to either push Ronald Jones to greatness or push him to the bench. And it's coincided with Leonard Fournette's ankle injury, but that competition has pushed Ronald Jones to greatness. He is running with reckless abandon. We're seeing moves, guys, we haven't seen before. Spin moves.
True.
He's hitting the circle button. He's hitting everything but the hurdle button. We haven't seen that yet, but
it's coming.
It's coming, right? I mean, 113 yards.
I don't know.
I
don't know if he can jump, but
I wouldn't want him to. But I love the spin move, right? In the hole. I mean, he's making guys miss. He's breaking tackles. He's running through arm tackles. This guy is really turned into a legit RB1. 113 yards, 4.9 yards, 2 touchdowns today, pair of catches for 8 yards. Still want to see him do more as a receiver, and I think that's coming later down the road. But right now, if you want a guy that will carry the rock, it's Rojo.
Yep, I agree. He's looked great.
All right, guys. I think that wraps it up. We've done a whole hour here. Game balls have been given out. Anything else we need to talk about real quick? Or
come back tomorrow for some more Pewter Report podcast.
Tomorrow, 4 p.m.
4
Set
p.m.
your calendars.
Definitely. Yep. All righty. For John Ledyard, for Scott Reynolds, for Mark Cook, and for the Buccaneers organization. Well, I can't speak for them.
And for you Buccaneer fans out there in Pewter Nation.
That's right. We can speak for you. We certainly appreciate it. Join us tomorrow for another edition of the Pewter Report podcast. Out.